I'm Duncan from Fishhead, and today we're talking about the Zenaq RG guide system. So the RG system is a way of arranging guides on a rod designed by Zenaq to help maximise casting performance. What it entails is putting a small guide as the first guide. So conventionally you would have a large guide followed by slightly smaller, and so on down the rod. With the RG system, the idea is to choke all of the spirals coming off the rod at the first guide, or if not the first guide, the first and second guides. Get rid of all that line spiraling and then have the line run in a straight line through the rest of the guides down to the tip. So what we're trying to avoid is having the line bouncing from guide to guide to guide as it travels down through the rod, which typically causes tangles, wind knots, things like that. So in the RG system, there is an RG guide, which is this little guide, Zenaq branded guide here. But as a whole, when we talk about RG, we're talking about the system rather than just the guide, because this one is on the light tackle rods, but it doesn't appear on the heavier tackle versions of the system. And also, when you go further along the rod, you go back to more conventional Fuji K guides from here on up. So it's a bit of a mixed bag of guides, but designed to work best within, the best setup within the RG system that they come up with. So the first thing you notice about it, apart from the smaller guides there at the start, is that there's a lot more guides on the rod. So the idea with that is to keep the line traveling in that straight path. Don't allow it to bounce around, especially in crosswinds and things like that. Then the other thing down at the end here is they put, the last guide is quite close to the tip of the rod. This helps a lot to stop tip wraps. So that very last bit where the line wants to spiral around and grab the tip, also where leader knots are coming into the rod, it helps to channel the leader knot properly into the guides rather than hang up into the tip guide itself, which happens sometimes with heavy leaders on lighter line. So the benefits of the RG guide system, for starters, less tangles. So because it funnels the line nice and straight through the rod, the line isn't able to move around as much and you get less tangles. This is especially noticeable in windy weather. So particularly on the surf rod models, rock fishing rod models, when you get a strong side wind, it definitely is a big benefit. Also, you get improved casting distance because there's less drag. Once you get past this first guide, the line is running very straight, so there is less drag bouncing from guide to guide, so it improves the casting distance. Again, it's probably most noticeable when you're in a crosswind or in a headwind. And thirdly, it helps with the casting accuracy, again, because the line's not wiggling around, it tends to go dead straight where the rod is unloading and throwing the lure to. So you've got distance and accuracy, and then from working the lures, because the line follows the path of the rod very efficiently, when you twitch the rod and the rod flexes, the lure is given a much sharper action. So the easiest way to describe that is if you imagine that was only half as many guides on this rod, as the rod flexes, the line would be taking shortcuts from guide to guide because they're so far apart. And that means as you flex it, the line actually comes out of the tip. So you might lift your rod tip a certain distance, but you're also going to give some line, as it flexes, you give line back. So the more the line can follow that exact path of the rod, the less line you give back every time you flex and bend the rod. So you get definite benefits with a sharper action for working the lures because everything you do is transmitted straight to the lure. Similarly, when you're fighting a fish, every time you lift the rod to pump and wind the fish, you get the absolute maximum you can as far as moving the fish each time you move the rod. So for every lift of the rod, you get the absolute maximum amount of line lifted for that lift. Lastly, also, more guides means better sensitivity, so a much better feel. So you can feel what's going on when your lure hits structure or a fish attacks it below the surface and you might not have otherwise felt it. Lots of contact points means that all that information is transmitted up to you nice and quickly. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of this, subscribe to the channel and we'll be back with some more videos. Thank you.